Hell yeah.
Absolutely. No, it's I'll like yeah, I mean, we'll definitely get into it, but it's so weird. This is the first interview I've done for the record
Oh hell yeah.
so far. Which I mean, I have some other ones coming up in like some other PR and things, but you were like the first person I locked in with. And it's so funny because I've never been a guest. Like I have my own podcast where I like kind of do like a very similar thing, but I like the spin that you have with the beers thing is so sick. Like it's actually like fucking genius.
Thank you.
So like, but it's just so weird for me to not be like, hey man, so how are you? Like what's go it's just very weird. Like it's so I'm just enjoying this. And I can't say thank you again for having me on and liking the track and then just you're just dope and I really appreciate what you do, man.
Dude, I appreciate that. Yeah, this whole album is sick. So it was fun to listen to. And I do gotta give you props for sending all the lyric sheets over also,
Yeah.
because that's like I love everyone that comes on and I love listening to their stuff, but it's the hardest thing is getting bridging that gap between like trying to figure out what the lyrics are and like following it all along. Um, so you sending those over like was really nice to just kind of play the album and just kind of go track by track and just kind of break everything down like mentally. So it was really nice that you did that.
Dude, of course. Again, like I said, I'm on the opposite side. Like I'm like, what would help? And I'm always like, I know exactly what's said. Like, dude, thank you again. I'm just happy that you were able to read the lyrics too. Because there are so many times where people are like, do you say this? And I'm like, no, I actually don't. I say this and it's way sadder.
uh, but we'll get into all that.
Sounds good.
Before we start, my only question for you is: do you have an unopened beer in front of you that you would like to partake in the
Dude,
opening crack with?
I gotta take that opening crack. Again, I've
Oh
been
yeah.
listening to the Cheer Up Dusty episode. Those are the homies.
Fuck yeah, dude. Yeah,
Dude.
that was a good time with him. I'm so stoked on I'm so stoked on everyone that's been on. Like everyone just is
Dude, you have
just
some really, really great guests, and I'm honestly honored to be a part of it. Like you have been fucking cooking.
dude, I
Multiple
appreciate that.
logo changes, like you're in. Like it's so sick.
You can only wear one wardrobe for so long. You got to change it
Right,
up
you
every
gotta
once
switch
in a
it up,
while.
man.
But all right. I'll count us down. We'll crack
Hit
these
it.
beers and we'll have a good time.
Sounds good, man. How's my audio? Is everything okay? Sounding good?
Yeah, you sound good.
Sweet.
All right. In three, two, one. Welcome to the Beers with Bands podcast with your host, Michael Torres. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Beers with Bands. This week, I'm sitting down with Morgan Brown, aka Morgan Cole Brown, depending on where you're looking him up. You know, I, I usually say a little bit extra there, but I mean, you are the one and only Morgan Brown.
Damn
How are
right.
you doing?
I'm really good. And again, thank you so much for having me on. I love the podcast. Super happy to be on. Just drink some beers, talk some music. So things are great, man.
Dude, hell yeah. Yeah, I'm stoked to have you on. For people that might not be aware, you are a singer-songwriter. You kind of have your own solo project kind of
Mhm.
going on now, which we'll kind of dive into here in a little bit. But I think you're based out of the Boston area, if I'm correct. I could be
Yeah.
wrong completely.
Yes. No, you're so good. You're totally fine. I grew up in Boston. Was doing music out and like growing up in like bands. Like that's where I'm originally from. That's where I came up just, you know, playing in like every band that I could find and like starting my own bands. And then I was in one for like a really long time. And then I moved out to New York. So I've been here in the city for 9 years. Just making grinding. Just
Dude, hell yeah.
grinding it out. But yeah, I'm
I
back in I'm
think,
back in between Boston and New York a lot.
okay. I mean, we pick up on a little bit of that in some of the lyrics. That's why I was kind of confused. I
For
knew
sure. Yeah.
we're on East Coast time for this, but I got to commend you for being in New York for 9 years. I think some people say that if you could make it, like a lot of people don't make it more than like a couple years in New York
For
just
sure.
because it's such like a grind. Um, and I don't think I could tough it out in New York with how I live my life. So I major props for able to tough that out.
Dude, you want to hear even something crazier? Like, yeah, I've been in the city for 9 years. I've been like working in Manhattan and like going like playing a lot of shows in Brooklyn and like being doing the New York thing. Dude, I've lived on Staten Island the entire time.
Okay.
So
I don't know if
everyone's
we should put that out there. I don't know how,
exactly, yeah. I don't know.
you know,
I don't know. Nah, dude. Seriously, I'll rep because Staten Island. There's some really good bands out here. There's some really good. There's some good music. It's fire.
oh yeah, dude.
I will rep it. People, yeah, it's just tough. Wu Tang.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, Wu Tang. You know, a lot of like obviously the easy one. Pete Davidson's also from
For
Staten
sure.
Island. The Impractical Jokers, Staten Island. Like
I see. I saw them. I saw them at Target.
that's so wild.
And
Uh,
I have like a little cheat sheet for like all the. I have like a bingo sheet for all the Wu Tang members.
oh hell yeah.
So I think I just need Jizza and yeah, I think it's just Jizza now. I think I ran into Method Man at Moe's getting a burrito, and I was like, this is so sick.
That's fucking awesome.
It's
Uh,
weird.
uh, but yeah, Staten Island is packed with all these
It's
cool
definitely
bands too.
it's but the New York thing, for to bring it back to your initial point, for
Yeah.
sure. Like going back, like it's definitely grinding out here. It's very hard to find your footing
Hmm.
in the New York scene because there's just like so much going on and there's just
Right.
so many different bands. It's like very rotating. Like everyone like is adjacent to each other. Like everyone knows like random band, but like there's definitely pockets that like
Hmm.
you'll never know someone, you know?
Do you see? And obviously, that's got to be a major change coming from Boston because I've had
Oh
a
yeah.
couple people on from like the Boston area, and like they seem like it's all pretty
It's
tight
close
knit
knit.
in a
Close knit.
good way.
Yeah.
In a good way. So you know, going to New York and it being so spread out, like that's got to be tough.
Oh, absolutely, man. I was growing up in Boston, like when I was doing a lot of like I was in like a pop punk band and but it's so funny because it's such a good scene for hardcore. Like if you're in a hardcore band, it's a fucking sick scene to be a hardcore band. But also again, you have the Berkeley kids and you've got like like you've got the college town. So it's like either you go to a show and it's like a hardcore show that's just like crazy and like a basement that like it's a house venue and stuff like that, or a lot of the regular venues, it's like really good indie art rock. Like you have a really good mix of really good music coming out of Boston, which is great.
Yeah. Um, and then kind of jumping back into like, I mean, we're kind of already talking some Morgan Brown lore here, but like the band that you were in for quite a while that you kind of mentioned and hinted at was the Amy incident. I think
Yeah,
you guys
yeah.
put the last release was like 2021,
Mm-hmm.
or 20. I think
Yeah,
yeah, because the music video came out in 2022.
yeah, literally.
Um,
We did the last music video. It's just, I mean, like it's just one of those things, and I know that like you've probably talked to so many musicians and people where you have that one band that you just really grow from. Like, and the reason, like to allude to like the solo thing, which is basically I was in this band, the Amy Incident, for probably like 5 years. Like we really just grinded. We did like a record, we did an EP. Like those are still some of my best friends in the entire world. But when they kind of split off, like they were two brothers who were playing drums and bass, the McCarthy brothers, who are fantastic musicians. In their own right, they're truly like the best people. Like they elevated my entire musicality up to like what it is. And then I was like, oh, I want to do another. I want to put out more music, but I don't want to do another band that's a band name where it's just me again writing all the songs and singing.
mm,
Like, so I'm just gonna own my own name, and I think there was a lot of growth within that, and like owning yourself and how to put yourself out there, and like there's anxieties with that, with like, oh, I want a job, like I want to make a regular life, like there's other things. So that was a very big hurdle for me to cross, but overall, I mean, I'm just really happy with the growth that I've had from like the Amy incident, which is great. And I still
yeah.
love that band, and putting out that music video with just like compilations of tour stuff was great.
Yeah, I feel like because I watched that music video, because it is on like your YouTube
Yeah,
page,
yeah,
and at first I was kind of like trying to figure out like what was going on, mainly because it was like it's on your YouTube, but it's the Amy incident, and then it took
yeah,
like
yeah.
it had a click in my head of like, oh no, this was a previous project, but I really enjoyed it because it's like obviously that's the final send off for that band, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
nice like montage of like we've experienced so much together. Like it ends that project in like a great way rather than just being like we're done. Like
No,
we put out this
absolutely.
release and then we're out.
Well, I think, I mean, and again, like I don't want to keep saying like I know you talk to so many bands because I know you do, but like it is one of those things that there are so many bands that I love where they only have one album, and then there's no like lore. Like I'm just
Right.
like, yo, what is like, I mean, the only band I can think of like off the top of my head, like Future Kings of Nowhere. Like it's a random ass band that I loved, but it was only one, like they only have one album. And I'm just like, yo, like I want a whole thing. So experiencing that so many times, I was like, I want to do a real send off. We played one last show. Like it was great. Like it was a great experience. And then it's really funny now when I play shows. Like we just played probably one of the bigger shows that we've ever played, which is crazy. And like everyone was calling on for an encore and they wanted like sand from the Amy incident. And I'm like, that's so sick. Like that's so dope that like that many people are like in on it, you know?
Yeah. No, yeah, that's like the cool thing about like your your defining band, like the band
Mhm.
that makes you. Because like my friends back home, they were in a band and like I used to tour manage them and like go on the road with them all the time. But like we all went, the majority of us all went to high school together, and a lot of people that come out to the shows were all people we were friends with, went to
Mhm.
high school with. So I remember when the band officially was going to call it quits, like we packed out a venue, had a great fucking time, and then we did like, well, I say we, but like I didn't do anything in the band. They did. They did like a reunion, like a we're back from the grave. We'll do one last reunion show, like because they had like one last EP that they wanted to put out, and it was just one of those things where it went over so well, and everyone loves it still. That project so much where a couple of guys have gone on to do another project, and people will still be like, "Hey, you should play like one of those other songs too."
Right. No,
Not saying
literally.
like the new stuff isn't good. It's just like it's just so nostalgic to see two of those members on this stage not playing that
100%.
same stuff.
No, 100% you have that. And it's like you have some people who are just like you again, the people who come to shows like most of the time are just like really good friends and people who want to support you and stuff like that. So play the hits. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Does that mean people, if they're going to see you in the future, can possibly find sand on the set list now?
Yeah, no, that's 100. I am saying that out loud. I'm saying come to a show and shout it out because we will play it. And it's so funny because this my guitar player Tommy McCardle is one of my best friends in the whole world. We've been playing music together. He was Amy Incident adjacent with his own band, and but we were like playing like guitar in like a pop belly sandwich shop together like for like literally no one. Like that was our one of our jobs senior of high school. And he's in my band like the Morgan Cole Brown band, but they started their own band, which is awesome. But he's one of those dudes. He's like, yo, dude, like, can we just not play Sam? Like, can we just not? Like, I thought we were so past this. I was like, nah, dude, high school will never end. What are you talking about? He was like, I thought we were so close to doing one show without it. I was like, it's never gonna end. No, it's awesome. It's
uh,
it's the best feeling in the world when
yeah,
people want to hear the songs that you wrote. At the end of the day,
right. Yeah. Whether they're new or old hits, like
100%.
you gotta give the crowd what they want, you know.
Absolutely.
Unless they say Freebird or like any like stupid shit, like
And I will not know how to
maybe.
play that.
Yeah,
I
no,
am
I don't
not
think
that good of a
anyone really
guitar
does.
player. I am not that good.
So like obviously it's Morgan Cole Brown. It's
Mhm.
your solo project, but you do have a backing band with you.
Yeah,
Um, you know, for like we kind of talked about before we started, you offered them to come out and hang out with
literally.
us tonight, and they didn't want to. But since they're not here, this is where
Shout
we
out
kind of give
Infinite
them
Weekend.
yeah, we gotta give them a shout out as to who they
Shout
are,
out.
what they do in your band.
Word.
Yeah,
No, here's the whole story, which is so funny, and honestly, like pride, like I'm so prideful about like how this happened. My like that same my friend Tommy, I was talking to them because I mean, so the band is me, myself, like Morgan Cole Brown, and then one of the best guitar players in Brooklyn, Tommy McCardle, and then our friend Andrew, who is a fantastic film composer. And I've always had Andrew like help with like editing films and videos, and like he's again a fantastic composer, but he's also a crazy good drummer, which I found like when I found out we were like trying to do the band, they're like, yo, Andrew can play drums. I'm like, get the fuck out. Like, really? You should just have Andrew play drums. That's so sick. And then one of my friends, Lydia, who came in and she just moved to New York, so we just kind of met through a mutual friend who's a fantastic bass player. But I first went to Tommy when I was like, hey man, like I have this whole record. Like it's written, it's recorded, it's mixed, it's mastered. I'm like, dude, I have no idea what to do. Like, do we start a new band? Like, do we, and he was like, yeah, like, I don't know if I really want to like put out music or anything like as a band, but like, I want to be in your back. Like, I'll be in your band. Like, that sounds sick. And then we started playing music and doing a bunch of like playing shows and recording like all this stuff. And he's like, yeah, dude, we should like put out music. I'm like, dude, are you really? We could have had a bit, like, we could have done it. So I'm really stoked. But Andrew and Tommy and Lydia, they kind of created this own like our like super group band called Infinite Weekend. So we're putting out the record next. So that's gonna be the follow up to the Morgan Cole Brown album, the Watching Your Friends Get Famous.
Oh, sick,
That's
dude.
coming. That's
That's
coming out
awesome.
later in the summer. So that's gonna be great. It's gonna be really, really fun.
Nice. Um,
But
yeah, I mean,
that's the my amazing band that I get to play with all the time. They're fucking awesome.
dude,
Is
hell
this a
yeah. Like,
cursing podcast? I
yeah,
know that
yeah,
I've heard. Yeah, that's what
yeah. You're
I'm
good.
just triple checking.
It's always fun in me when they're like when people are like, hey, can we like curse on the podcast? I'm like, dude, we're drinking beers.
True.
Like
We're
I
drinking
like
beers.
it's kind of like fair game. I don't make money off of this from YouTube, so they're not going to demonetize me because they're not monetizing me anyways.
That sounds great.
Yeah. um, but you know the reason you're here tonight,
Mm-hmm.
like we've kind of hinted at, is you have your debut album
Yeah.
underneath Morgan Cole Brown coming out. You know, at the time of this recording, it's not out yet. It comes out the 19th of April.
Hell yeah.
Um, it's I know you mentioned the title, but it's called "Watching Your Friends Get Famous," and it's 10 tracks that it's it's a lot of like self-reflecting in
Mm-hmm.
this in the album, and it's just overall just super good and amazing. Like
Dude, thank you.
I've enjoyed listening to it. You know, I think the first single you put out was it part two
Yeah,
you put out?
it was almost funny because yeah, my the guitar player Tommy always refers to that as like single zero because that was just like to announce that I'm not doing the Amy incident anymore. So we kind of used
Hmm.
that single. And that was also the first song I wrote for the project.
Okay. Like
And like,
what was that like being it, you know, your first like your single zero of hey,
yeah,
I'm not the Amy incident anymore. Like this is the new thing. Like how was that?
it's very no, it's a very that's a very interesting question. I was in this really weird I was yeah, I literally was in this really weird mix between I want to keep doing music. I don't know if I want to use my own name. I want to do so many things and I don't like ever want to be like seen as just this or anything else. So it was a really tough thing. And then I was working on my friend Kirsten, who Kirsten Gerard, shout out, is fantastic musician and singer songwriter. And we are working together and she just kind of like sent me a voice memo. She just sent me to like, hey, like, can you just write a guitar part like randomly, like off the bat, take it on the voice memo, and then like let's do a song like straight up. And I was like, you know what? Okay, cool. And like I was so down to the dumps. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like musically, I'm like losing all my shit. And I wrote this guitar part and I sent it to her. And then she put out the song that was just randomly, it was like a random mix and stuff. And I was like, fuck, that's a really good guitar part. Like, damn it. Like that's so sick. So then I was like, all right, can like we work together and do like a part two version of that song? And like because the lyrics in her version, which is called Silver Lake Drive, now streaming, it talks about like a lot of childhood innocence. It talks about like the idea of never wanting to grow up. It talks about these things. And then that's not the lyrics that I write typically ever. So then I took the same guitar part, same kind of melody, and then wrote the second part, which is the older version of the character from that song, now
Okay.
reflecting being like the first, like in her version it's water and lemonade, another beautiful day. So like as you in my version it's like you get older and you're like, oh, vodka and Gatorade, another New Year's day. And you're like, so you take that and you're like, oh, okay, I know exactly what this vibe is. But so that was the first song and I was like, damn, this is so good. And I was like, should I put this out, Kirsten? She's like, dude, this is really good, like just put it out. Like this is a cool thing that we did, that's like you can hear one version and then hear the second, like it's a cool thing. But that jump started the whole project. That maybe that gave me the bug that I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do a solo record, because I feel like I was never confident in like the music that I could write, and Kirsten really showed me that. I was like, oh, this guitar part's so sick. Like it was just like that little, you know.
Dude, that's awesome that it's that's how that all started. Because
right?
like you
So
always see
crazy.
bands that'll put out records and like one of the song titles would be like part two or something like that, and then me seeing that I'm like, okay, now I got to dig through. Like it makes me want to dig through their entire discography trying to find like something that could be part
Hmm.
one, and the fact that part two is really your number one, and it's
Facts.
part two of another person's song that you were
Well,
also on. It's
dude,
like it
can I can I
builds.
get can I get mega mind with you real quick? Can I get
Yes,
like
please.
can I get really, because like dude, I'm a very big like, it's so pretentious to fucking say, dude. But like I'm like I like to build worlds. It's so pretentious. It's so shitty to say, be like, yeah, I'm a world builder instead of a musician. But I was like, I had a freak out because I was talking to like my bandmates and they were like, yeah, that song's great. And that was it. I was like, okay, no, 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 no. So it's part two of Kirsten and I's song. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's also, I put it as the sixth track on the album. So it's part two of the album. And I put out my first single. So now it's part two of my career. Like this is this, and they're like, dude, you gotta stop smoking weed. Like you gotta stop. And I'm just like, no, 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 this is sick as hell. Like, bear with me, guys. So yeah, that's how that came together. Very big brain blasty for you.
Yeah, no, I'd love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Keep
So yeah,
smoking weed.
yeah, right. Keep smoking weed. Okay, cool, 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 tight. But yes, so I like that's how the project started, and then it just like really grew, and then I was just like, I literally wrote the album for the 3 years after that, and then just really honed in and have a really great team that I was able to like, be with, and like they help, like I owe everything to for the record, I owe everything to the band, shout out Puddle Splasher, shout out also Classic Traffic, which is also their band. They just have two bands.
Okay. Hell yeah.
And Andrew Altadonna and Dante Fotino. Those are the shout out. They I was writing a lot of the demos off the album, and then you know they took it and they changed my life. So I love them very much.
Dude, hell yeah. No, yeah, it's a great song. And then for people that are into like the visual format, you do also do like a small music video for it,
Mm-hmm.
where you're kind of sitting next to this little campfire, just playing along to the song, nice and acoustic version, which I feel like is a was a nice way to do that song. It wasn't like anything overly done, and it was just like, here's the song, here's me, this is
Exactly
it.
what I wanted to do. It was literally, I was like, this is gonna be the first single, first thing I put out. Let's just do something that's just so simple, so pure, and just like, okay, cool. Let's just, and it was so quick to shoot. It was awesome.
Yeah. And then you continue with the single release and you go into the second song, learning how to drive, which is you go from a simple song to this ginormous amazing 5 minute ballad, that is tucked nicely as song number two on this album. And it kind of takes you for this amazing ride, and then with it you also do this amazing like cinematic music video for it that just like tells this whole story for it. And like that was one thing too when when I was watching that. I was obviously, I think some shots are like obviously shot in like California, so I was like, I was thinking today, like leading
Yeah,
up to this, I
yeah,
was like,
yeah.
wait, where does he actually live? I did I fuck up on my time? But like,
No, you crushed it.
yeah, that was an amazing song. And like we kind of talked about it at the beginning, I maybe before we started recording, like that was the first song that I heard
Mm-hmm.
of you, and what made me follow you and like add you to my list of like, okay, this is a potential person I need to hit up and do all this. And like, it's such a good song for to
Dude,
follow up part two.
thank you. Like serious, like, and also like I'm not like owning anything else, or I'm just like, I've been sitting on this for like so long. It's crazy that like it's so, or at least it's just nice and validating where it's like second single. It's like, all right, we're great, we're building traction. All right, sick, tight.
Right.
Like we're in. So I was just like, I was sitting on it for so long, and I'm just like so happy it's out, because I worked like so hard on like that one song, and it's just like, I'm so proud of the video. I'm so proud of everything we did with it. So seriously, I can't say thank you enough. It means the world to me that you reached out after hearing it.
Yeah, dude. I I think I said this on a recent episode. But I give any band props for the time that you sit on anything, because usually a lot of bands when they're putting something out, they've already been sitting on the masters for 6 months to a year before release. And I can't imagine ever doing that. Like I sit on episodes for like a month and I already get antsy. I'm like, I want to tell the world about these.
Right.
And I can't imagine sit like recording something and just like thinking it's like perfect and done, and then just being like, I can't tell anyone about this for another 6 months to a year. It's insane.
No, for real, dude. It's like it was so it was so a lot. It was just a lot for like the having it like recording everything was one thing. Like it was the whole process. Again, like I started recording the album in 2020. And
Jeez.
then and it hasn't come out since till 2024, which just is the time that it took to make music videos for like almost all the songs, uh content for the dumb shit that we have to do as artists, which is slowly draining me every single day. And then just between like all even just like the studio stuff, like I was in and out of the studio with like my three really amazing like my amazing team. And it was just like 3 years. It was literally of just going in and doing different instruments, different songs, and keeping it all together. Like I am so happy it's out. Like I'm so happy that you also can acknowledge the work that it takes, because every band that's done that is like the second they put out music, they're like, I never want to play that song again.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing, is like you've sat on it for so long, you've been playing the same things forever, while at the same time you've been writing and possibly recording the next stuff already, but
Literally.
you can't play them yet.
Mhm.
And so yeah, every band that releases something, it's always funny because deep down they're like, fuck, yeah, we just released this. I don't want to play this anymore, but we have to literally tour this and just like promote the fuck out of this album
Literally.
before we can stop playing it.
Which is absolutely it's so hard the like for anyone who's like for any of the bands that are doing it, it's so like I was playing all this whole record like I didn't stop playing shows from the Amy incident on. So it was just like a lot of mixed bag of like what I was going under for a little bit for like
Mhm.
just shows. But I played this whole album for a year before it came out. For an entire year. And then now we're at a point where it's like I'm so locked in with my like with our band that's like, oh, we're doing this for another year. Like I don't think you understand, we're doing the same set. Like different covers, but like same set until we can put up the new stuff. And they're like, dude, damn it. Just a lot of work, man. It's just it's grinding.
Yeah, which, like I said, I commend you for powering through that. Because everything, like I've listened through the album probably at this point 4 to 6 times, I would say.
Oh, well, thank you, man.
And it's been like there's not a point where I'm like, okay, like I'm kind of getting tired of this. Like it's you have
That's
your
huge.
highs and lows through it, and like it keeps it like the momentum going. Um, and I'm since you kind of mentioned that there's more music videos, I'm really stoked to see what those ones are going to be like and what songs they're going to be for.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things that I went like so for the music video stuff, it's so interesting. I'll go back because I also need to give a my boy Abe from the band Mandala, which is one of the best bands. They conquered Connecticut and then they moved out to LA. They were like they ripped up the East Coast so much that they're like we need to move to the LA just to really lock it in. So and I've always known them, like I've always been a fan of them, and then I hit up Abe and I was like, hey man, I've been trying for a year to make music videos and content and like asking anyone and everyone who will help. It says on your Instagram you do camera stuff. Like what's good? And he was like, dude, get your ass to LA. Let's do a music video, run and gun, you and me. So we made the entire learning how to drive video, just Abe and I.
Oh damn.
Yeah. And like obviously Mandala, like shout out to that whole band for being part of that process and they're in the video and stuff like that. But literally like that, it all came out of pure necessity of being like, yo, I think your shit is dope. You think my shit is dope. Like, let's just do this. So I just flew out to California, lived there for like 3 weeks on their couch, and then we just filmed the video, and it was amazing. It was one of the greatest experiences I've ever had. But again, it just shows how much time like goes into all this other stuff. And I'm like a crazy person. So it's like I wanted to do a video for almost every song on the album. And I wanted to put them all together to make a movie with a tying in storyline and all this stuff. And, and Abe was like, "You need thousands of dollars for this." And I'm like, "Well, Boy Genius can do it." They're like, "Yeah, they have thousands of dollars. That's so sick." And I'm like, "Yeah, one day. Like, I can definitely hit
Yeah,
it one day and stuff." But yeah, I've been working with a bunch of really amazing directors on like the newest stuff. Like the single that just most recently came out, Nose Ring, and I have a video for coming out, I think, this week. So it's gonna be sick.
dude, hell yeah! I'm stoked to see
Hell
it
yeah,
when it
man.
drops. I know when this episode comes out, it'll already be out,
Hell yeah.
and it'll have like millions and millions of views.
Oh, for sure.
Um, but that's crazy that like the the learning how to drive music video is just like started on that like whim of just like sending that DM and just like getting it set
Mhm.
up, and it's just you and Abe that entire time. Was it, because I think Abe comments on the videos saying like, "Thank you for trusting my vision." Like, was it
Mhm.
more Abe's idea for the whole storyline and visuals for it, or was it kind of like a combination of both?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was basically one of those things where I literally rewrote that the concept for that video probably 5 or 6 times. So that's how many times I tried making it with people, where it was either like, "Oh, like we need a crew of 30," and I'm like, "I don't think we do." um but it's like one of those things where it's like you're talking and you're trying to help with like, and one of my best friends in the world was wanting to helping, but then he had like some scheduling conflict. So I wrote it so that by the time it got to Abe, I was like, "Whatever you want, I don't care. Like, I don't care at all. Just whatever you think is sick. Like, let's lock in and let's make something dope that we both is just like, this is sick as hell." So it was really cool. And then he honestly, I trusted him so much, and I was like, "You look, we he talked to me very in depth about like feelings and emotion and my story and the things that like specifically like work for that song." Like I was talking to him like for the song, it's like all about spiraling. It's about like wanting to do like the most simple task, and then like driving is made for everyone to be able to do it. Like, and if you can't do that, then you're like, "The fuck can I do?" And then you just start spiraling and spiraling, and it's about all these emotions of insecurity, and you're going back. And he was like, "Dude, I got you." So then we just made this amazing concept, and Abe is honestly like he's one of the most talented filmmakers I've ever met. And it was really great to work with him on that. Like, it was just so cool, and it was just such a bonding, fun thing for like both people in music. Like, we played a show together out there. It was awesome. Like, I love that band so much, and that music video was really fun to make. But it was, again, really struggle. It was a struggle.
Yeah, thankfully it came out very well.
Fire.
Like I loved that music video. Just the way it's done and the whole artistic vision behind it. I do gotta give you props again, because you know there's a couple scenes where you're running, playing guitar with a box in your head,
Dude.
and like I saw that and I was like, I'd immediately just like either run into something or just fall on my face.
Dude, Abe was like, "All right, dude, I have one thing that I need you to do, and it's run in a straight line." And he saw me run in a straight line. He goes, "You've never ran in a straight line, have you?" And I'm like, "I actually have not. That is not one of my. I played music, so I didn't do sports, dog. Like, what are you talking?" And he's like, "Okay, now I need you to do it with a box in your head." I'm like, "God damn it." So it was, dude, it was tough. And it was some points where he was just shaking his head. He's like, "I've never seen anyone run dumber. I've never seen anyone run like just more stupid looking than you can." I'm like, "Look, it's a charm. All right." It's part of it.
You
But
didn't have
thank
like
you
a
for the
stunt
commending of
double
that.
on
Thank you
deck?
for understanding that. Like, you saw that and you're like, "Yo, that's hard."
Yeah, yeah, that's fucking difficult. I mean, just to run in a straight line in general,
Right?
that's
Facts,
a lot of
dude.
work.
No, truly. Oh, it was tough, man.
But you know, like I've said, and I'll keep saying, obviously you've listened to some of these episodes, you know how much I hype everyone that comes on.
Oh, dude.
But like this album's great. Like they're and I genuinely mean it, where there's like no skips in my opinion on this. You know, I'm looking at the track listing right now. I did want to point out or mention something as well. Overture, the
Yeah.
opening,
Oh,
like
yes.
opening to the whole album. You know, it's what like a minute long, and it's kind of just this
It's beautiful.
instrumental piece. Yeah, it sounds amazing. I love the little like teaser video that you did also for it
So sick.
because it works so well for that. And then like I think I like you can kind of hear it when you listen to the song and the album, but in the video you see like since you have like the subtitles on there, you kind of see like the words that are actually being said. For someone that might not hear them in the song, like what is that conversation? Like why did you decide to put that in Overture?
Oh, dude, that is you are asking a killer question. Oh my gosh, I love talking about this stuff so much. Well, first off, again, shout out to the homie Andrew Patnod. He's my drummer and he's the composer. And I literally asked him, I was like, hey man, we need a really dope, like cinematic way to get into learning how to drive on the record. He's like, dude, hold my beer. I got you. So we made that together. And then honestly, Andrew made that whole track. Like that was very much him thing. And the only thing I added was that sample, like the lyrics that you said. And the lyrics, when I say lyrics is such a strong word, I was I did what everyone did when they were like 12 and 13, and I had like a YouTube channel with like my two best friends when I was 10 years old. Like we made like sketches and like we were called Heavy Altitude and like we made all these like dumb little sketches and stuff. And there was one video that I found that was like even when I like you know when you're 10 and you're like we should have a B channel for the stuff that isn't that good and you're like why are you thinking none of this is good but it was on the B channel like of that and it was like me walking up the street being like I'm a star and my friend and I'm like no I'm not like I'm really not I was like just joking he's like no say it like scream I am a star and I like took that and I was like when I thought of the name for the record, I was like watching your friends get famous. I'm like, dude, that's a perfect like little sample. So it's literally like me talking to myself when I'm 10, being like, yo, I am finally the main character. Like this is my solo record. This is the first thing I'm putting out. Like this is I got this. So I really appreciate you asking about that.
Dude, yeah, because like those little things that are in there, I really loved. Like that was another added feature to this album that I really loved because obviously you have, yourself telling yourself that you're a star in the beginning to set off the whole tone for this album, and I'm gonna blank on what songs it was in, but there's another song. I can't think of which one it is right now, but there's another song on the album where you also have like very faint like added in
Mm-hmm.
like vocals or like a clip of something.
Yeah.
But those little moments, because when you listen to it, you get that it's like it's all like internal and it's kind of just building up this whole person that's going through everything in these songs, and I feel like it just adds so much where it's just a nice lovely touch that I just really enjoyed.
100. Thank you so much for like saying that. Like it means the world. And the like the truth of the matter is, I think that there's a part of like the there's part of like making emo music or whatever genre you do where you want like a part of yourself to like reflect like your true self. And I think it's very funny. Like the first Amy Incident record like starts out like I thought again like you think you're so smart and clever. You're like it's gonna open up with a voicemail of my ex. Yep, that's how and then I'm like, then I hear a billion other like a bunch of albums that are all of a sudden like, okay, not an original thought. Great, cool. Actually, this is a very memeable thought. Okay, cool. What can I do differently? And I'm like, I'm gonna look inward as much as possible. I'm gonna pull as many samples as I can of like weird little things that literally just make me smile. Of like, oh my god, that was like a fun little part of my childhood, or like I'm looking back at this, or so like where you pull like those little like where I pulled all those little vocal samples from is just literally all of those YouTube little videos, and it's just those are for me because they're so like disjointed and stuff like that that only if you really knew what it was you'd laugh. But I'm like, that's just for me.
No, yeah, it's amazing that you're because like I mentioned this on past episodes too. Is I am one of those guys, especially, and I know I'm not even going to say that phrase because I hate that phrase is cringy. But I'm a guy that loves emo albums, especially like the ones from like
What was the phrase
very.
that
I was gonna
you can edit it? You can edit it.
I was gonna say elder emo.
Oh no, I'm there.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
I know I feel so cringy to say it though.
Badge of honor, brother.
I guess. But
I guess.
I really love the like the DIY emo albums that have just sound clips in them, whether they're from like TV shows, pop culture
For
references,
sure.
whatever they are. I love that. But to take it to another level and have it be we're adding a sound clip in, but it's my own self talking to myself, and it's a little blurb in there that people may or may not be able to like make out. Um, I just really love that touch in there as well, and I think I it's gonna almost tie with like just listening to like Bobby Hill in a fucking emo like
But I
song.
love
Like
that though too, because I think
yeah.
you learn like when people like when I think if any music like uses samples to any extent, like you know very specifically where they're coming from, which is so sick.
Oh
Because
yeah.
it's not only a relatability thing, but it's also like, oh yo, they like King of the Hill too. Like
Yeah.
it's one of like, and it's just like, yo, like I love that stuff. Like that's like I was never, but like I wanted to really be specific with this and like what I call on.
Right. Yeah. No, I really enjoyed it. One other aspect I really liked about this album is, and again, I think it's in, I think it's in Hitchcock Blonde.
Fire.
Um, when you and I have the whole lyric sheet up, so I can double check this if I can find it.
Yeah, very curious to see where you're going with this one on this track.
So I
There's
mean
some
there is
danger
something about it.
lyrics on there.
Yeah, there is something on Hitchcock Blonde that I did want to talk about,
Oh yeah, no,
but
we can get into it.
yeah, but the part that I was more
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So it is in Hitchcock Blonde where you start to say, if I sing off key, just say it was a harmony, and then you have a like this background vocals come in and just ties that in so well, and then kind of finishes out that song. That little moment where some people may or may not like enjoy it as much as I did, but like just to say that and then just have it go from there and just build up the rest of the song into the lyrics, which we'll talk about here in a second. I just really loved that whole idea and thought
Dude,
behind that.
thank you, man. Again, it's so intentional. It's so extremely intentional. And like I've always let's go. I've always wanted to like I've always like thought like if I was ever to put out music and stuff, like me and my friends in bands like talk about this shit where like yo I want to be able to go on an interview and be like here's the like exactly like that brain blast about part two and stuff, but like no one will care. Like no one will really. And the fact that you're asking that, I'm like yes, you get it, like
This this,
seriously.
this is
Oh
me, yeah,
no, and yeah, I feel very seen by that because honestly, yeah, no, everything is super intentional on that song.
yeah,
And then shout out Colleen Kelly for providing harmonies. Legend.
yeah.
Legend.
It worked. It worked so well, and I know. Um, do they also chime in on harmonies? Because there's a
Yeah,
song a
yeah.
couple songs later. Is it them as
Same
well?
person. Yeah, yeah. They
Okay.
I literally asked my friend Colleen to do harmonies. I have so many friends who are singers. Which is so great and I'm so fortunate. But I literally asked her because I was like, I just know like you're just gonna come in, rock the part, and then like this is your deal. Like you're a singer, you're an actor, like and it was just so clean. Like she just rocked those parts so quickly.
Yeah, I really love when you can have that kind of like dynamic between like more masculine style voice and like that feminine
Hmm.
voice as well. Like it's one thing to have backing vocals to kind of chime out everything, but to kind of do that contrast and it's done so well. I really enjoyed. But I also am like a fan of like those intentional things,
Hmm.
like you're just kind of saying is
Yeah, yeah.
there's a band that's from here in Minnesota. They're I think you're supposed to be putting out new music this year after a long time, but they're a band called Take Cover, and they have in one of their songs they say they have like this lyric that's kind of something about like being like offbeat, and he literally says like his line like off beat
Hmm.
just at the same time, and it like those little things as like a fan of music is just shit that just like gets me giddy inside.
Same. I love when people do that stuff. Like, don't try to dumb down your audience, and also don't think that they're gonna catch everything.
Right.
Just like do things that are literally for you and things that you're like that's fun doing during rehearsal. Like that's fun.
Yeah.
Like let's do that. Like I love that stuff so much, man. Oh,
But we've been kind of building this up for like the last 2 minutes.
oh yeah.
If people have listened to Hitchcock Blonde,
Which by the
which
time of this is out, there will probably be a single and music video.
hell yeah,
TBD.
I'm interested to see how that one's gonna end. But
Oh yeah.
uh, before I get into the lyric part, just because one of my like I'm not a big fan of scary movies.
Hmm.
Um,
Love. I'm a
people that
big,
yeah,
big horror guy.
yeah, people that know me, I'm not big into that. I would be considered like a wimp by some standards, but I'm not because
Okay.
I'm a man. I'm tough.
Facts, facts, facts,
But
facts. Sure, sure, sure.
one of my favorite scary movies that I have no problem watching is Alfred Hitchcock's um, Psycho,
So sick.
and it's an amazing movie. When I
Fantastic film.
see when I see the title Hitchcock Blonde, is it any reference
Yes.
to the okay
100%. But
to
not
that
Psycho
movie
though.
specifically? Okay,
Are you ready?
yeah,
You ready for the ref?
I'm ready.
I was literally sitting. I'm a big, obviously I'm a huge movie person. I got my minor in film. Like I love movies, like very big, especially horror, especially like that stuff. Very big into it. And I was literally like, my mom is a really big film person as well. And we were watching North by Northwest, and
Ooh,
like there's
solid
this
movie.
solid movie. And there's just this one line where the lead actor, the lead female actor in that movie basically goes like, "Oh, what did you think we were gonna do this weekend? Fall in love?" And he just goes, "Well, I'm free." And I was like, "So funny. That's cute." And then I wrote that and then like that showed up in the lyric like months later. And I was like, "Oh,
Hell yeah.
Hitchcock Blonde." So then that's the entire tyrant. But I was like, oh, funny. What
Okay.
do we do this
Hell yeah.
weekend? Fall in love. Fuck it. That's so sick.
Nice. Uh, also, so this is a side tangent. There's a band that's been on the podcast. They also took a name from a Hitchcock
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, yeah.
More, a lot of the graphics were like South by Southwest or not North by Northwest. I'm confused myself now. But anyways,
You're
it's
good.
the song title is called Cary Grant, and it's just like
Fire.
his picture from like the original posters and like kind of done more like animated style. But like they kind of did the same thing. So when I had them on, I kind of got to like geek out over that too because like
Sick.
I remember I had a class in high school where we watched movies and had to like analyze them, and we did like a Hitchcock section where we kind of did Psycho, we did North by Northwest, and then we also did Rear Window.
So
Just
fire.
kind of do all those.
Dude, I don't know what the fuck was wrong. Like growing like I don't know, growing up with like I grew up with just a single mom, like kind of and all we did was watch movies. Like she's a huge movie person, and like she was an actor and like is a filmmaker now and stuff.
Oh, nice.
But she like, dude, I was watching like Rear Window and the Birds when I was like literally maybe like 9. Like I was like, why? Like looking back, that's weird. She's like, no, this movie's sick. I'm like, what? That's my tangent, but it's very, very rare. I like literally love that stuff. If we're on the tangent, where did you go to school?
Sorry, what?
Where'd you go to school?
So I grew up in like rural Iowa, like
Oh
a
wow,
town of
man.
like 3,000 people.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah,
That's sick as hell though,
like behind our high school was cornfields. Like,
bro. But did you go to college in Minnesota or
so no, I went to a college in Iowa, and then I ended up moving to Minnesota about 4 years ago. Just from
word?
knowing people from the music scene when the other band that I was with would tour, just becoming friends, and then eventually just moving here because,
And are you in Minneapolis?
yep,
Where my girlfriend's dying to know. She went to school in Minnesota.
yeah, I'm in Minneapolis.
Just like any, is there any area? Dinkytown? Is that a thing?
Yeah, Dinkytown is like more
Dinkytown's a
by the
thing.
yeah, it's more by like the college. I'm more North Minneapolis, so
Oh,
like
got
I'm
it.
really close to like downtown.
He's in
Um,
downtown North Minneapolis.
yeah,
Sorry,
like close
I
to like
just
North.
want to get that one out of the way. I was
Oh,
telling,
you good?
I was like, yeah, I'm doing a podcast from Minneapolis, and she was like, wait, where? I used to live in Dinkytown. What? She went to the U.
That makes sense if she lived in Dinkytown.
Makes sense if you lived in Dinky Town. Sorry, continuing
No,
on.
you're fine.
Uh,
I thought earlier when you said that there was someone in the corner telling you to like not talk shit, like I didn't realize that there was literally someone in the corner
oh yeah, no, there
that
is
it,
someone in the corner telling me to not talk shit.
that's funny.
She's currently sewing. Sorry, embroidering.
Yeah, you got to get it right.
You're telling me. Apparently, there's multiple ways to take something on a string and then make things with it. I'm just kidding. It's sick. Continue on. I am so sorry
Yeah.
for
No,
disrupting.
you're good. You're good. Uh but so I love the whole little tangent about you
Fire.
know Hitchcock Blonde and like the title. Um but like we
Yeah,
were kind of hinted to
the unspeakable lyrics for sure.
the unspeakable lyrics. If I
Yeah,
wasn't monetized before, I'm definitely not getting monetized now.
definitely
Uh,
not.
you end the song in such a strong lyric wise that I mean it obviously makes sense. It fits with the theme of the song of like
It's
being like
hilarious, is what you're
it's
saying.
also hilarious. It came so out of right field when I listened to it. I was thrown off. But you have the lyric for people that might not have listened to it yet. Uh, you have
And they will,
yeah,
based
they
off of
will.
this.
They the line goes, I drink alone because of my self doubt. My breakup was like Epstein's death. Pretty sure didn't do it myself. And
Fuck yeah.
it's such a good line.
Thank you.
And
Thank you
when I
so much.
yeah, when I listened to it, like I said, it came so out of right field, but at the same time, part of me was like, why hasn't anyone else said this in one of their like? It's like,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah, like you're
Because
the first.
no one should. No one should is the answer. No, dude, I thank you for bringing this up because and thank you for building to it because it's so funny to me. I was on a bus, I was writing lyrics, and I texted one of my friends in one of my favorite bands in the area that I tour with all the time. And I was like, I just texted that lyric, and he just went, no. And then I texted a bunch of other musicians who are in bands. I just texted them lyrics. They're like, don't put that in the song though. And I'm like, but I don't think you know this is hilarious. I don't think you know how funny this is. And they're like, no, it's just not though. Be careful. And I'm like, nah, dude, it's so funny. And then following it up with what is it? Um I um
A broken heart is like Kennedy's death. Pretty sure it wasn't an accident.
That's what I'm saying. No, but on like the real point of like those lyrics is like on maybe like you could like you relate to this or anyone who's listening can relate to this, but when you're so like fucking depressed that like it just starts being funny where you're just like, yo, there's no way I'm this right now. Like there's no way I'm this fucking depressed right now or like sad or anything else. It's like you say something and then you hear it and you're like, no, you're right. I'm not that depressed. Like and that's what that lyric is. Like it's this character who's going through this whole night and he's constantly feeling like, yo, I'm out and about. I'm going crazy. Like it's all about like all the song is about is uncertainty, really. It's about the uncertainty of like where we're going and like what's happening. And you're like, yo, I just woke up on a fucking roof after drinking. Like shit is not going my way, clearly. And then you get to this point where you're like, nah, dude, my breakup was like Epstein's death. I'm pretty sure I didn't do it myself. And you're like, your friends who will say it, you're like, shut up. They're like, stop. You're going like too much. And like that's where that's really coming out of. Where it's just like I was like, man, it's so funny though. So not a funny like subject, but it's genuinely a funny lyric to me.
I think we can laugh about it at this point.
That's at this
It's
point.
been a few years.
But yeah, no, like but like that's where it really comes out of. It's like it comes out of a real place.
Right.
But then also if you can't joke about your sadness to some extent, it ain't that serious.
Yeah.
That's just me though. I'm not speaking
Uh
to everyone.
for everyone listening though, you know, there aren't any more like gotcha lines I feel
There
like in
aren't.
this album.
There's really not.
It's just that one song. So if you're, you know, Epstein fan or something, just don't listen to that song. But you shouldn't also be an Epstein fan for any reason.
Facts.
Um, so go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself. All
but
my homies say that.
yeah, all my homies hate Epstein. It's a great
What do
song. Like and going back to like this whole album, like I try and think of like what would be my favorite song
Mhm.
off of this, and it's kind of hard to think of one. Because like
What's
I
great?
obviously,
That's high praise.
yeah,
Thank you,
it's
man.
high praise. It's part of me leans towards learning how to drive just because it's the I tend to lean towards the first song that I hear
It's
from
the
an
thesis
artist.
song. It's also the thesis of the album, for real.
Yeah. If someone's like going to listen to this album after
Hmm.
this episode, like what is I don't know how. I guess I'm thinking of two questions. So like to start with, like what is something that they can fully get out of this album?
Sure.
If they're going to sit down and put it on, like what can they expect to get out of it?
Okay. So if you, I mean, just to put it on, and like the initial expectation is it takes the journey of someone who is extremely uncertain, who doesn't know what they want to do, who is dealing with anxiety, depression, mental illness, body dysmorphia. Mostly, like the album really comes from a place of like comparison culture where we're constantly in a state of being on social media, seeing everyone else's success or making you feel like everyone's successful. Then you meet those people, you turns out they're broke, not successful. Then you realize there's no, like, you're trying to reach something that like we as a society kind of broke, where it's like there's no like point to like of like anything because everyone's at the same level. Like if like my boss at like my job is also a musician in a band and has 300,000 monthly listeners every month and is still working the same job that I am, then I'm like, well, fuck. I think we kind of lost something along the way. And it's all about this person really honing in and trying to figure out what makes them themselves without trying to be anyone else. Like that's where I came from at it, where I was like writing and I was like, look, I've always been in music, I've always wanted to be in a band, I've always wanted to be an artist. However, now I don't know because I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to take these thoughts about all these different feelings and then put it through. So I wanted to make the record really happy at the end, so I threw in like the last really happy, almost optimistic song, Morocco, which like really ends on like a high note that you're more like feeling better. It's more like a poppy tune. So it's like you see this evolution of this character kind of go up and down through this whole record, asking a lot of questions about what's going on, and then hopefully moving on to a bigger and better future. That's really what I could. That's if that answers a little bit of the question. I think I kind of ranted a little bit, but
No, I think that answers it perfectly because like not to obviously this is your episode, not to dive too much into myself. Um,
I
you
need,
know,
dude. That's gonna be its own episode. I need a lot more lore now.
there's there's some out there. We'll see what
Facts, dude.
happens. But like that was one thing I really enjoyed about listening to this. Obviously, with learning how to drive, there's right at the beginning where it kind of talks about like um your like body weight and stuff like that, and then it kind of comes back up again in I think
Nose
nose
Ring is
ring.
really the body positivity song, low key,
Yeah.
and I wanted
um
to make it the heaviest on the record.
yeah, and like just hitting those, and then just a lot of the themes throughout, like there's a reason I listen to emo music more than everything, because some people are depressy sometimes, but like this
Yo,
album, like I
only cool
felt like I
kids.
connected with in I don't know if it's the right way or what, but like I connected with the songs in a way that like it made sense to me. So it really was nice to listen to it because like one, I have that connection, and then two, you kind of follow this character throughout, and then like you said, you end on Morocco, which kind of like builds out the story. So it kind of just like you go with the journey of just like going through these emotions, and then you're just like, okay, there's the light at the end of the tunnel.
No,
Like we're
literally,
we're there. We've self
I
reflected,
needed
and
that.
we're our own thing now.
I couldn't put out a record where like I was in there. I wasn't gonna put Morocco on the record, but then I was just gonna have it end with the last song being "Feel My Heart," Jonas. Parentheses, I think it's broken. Um, but everyone was like, dude, it's so depressing. Like you need, and I was like, honestly, you're right. Like this character and like my own self, like I needed to be optimistic at the end. Like I would only want to be like positive at the end of the day, which is funny because like you said, like liking emo music, like yeah, we have a lot of like the depressy days and dealing with all of the other mental shit if like you have and you're dealing with those issues and stuff, which is all the shit that I deal with fucking frequently. And you literally just need to be able to feel like you're not like it's not that serious, like for real, and it's like just need to be able to have like enlighten yourself at the end of it. It's just like that's what needs I keep myself going with that, honestly.
Yeah. Not to obviously, like we kind of mentioned, you're going to be playing these songs for another year to your
Fact.
band's
But
dismay.
absolutely I am.
But what does the next iteration of Morgan Cole Brown sound like? Are we continuing on this journey, or did you self reflect enough in this album that we're gonna get to a whole new version of Morgan Cole Brown?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. LP2 is in the works for just the next Morgan Cole Brown solo record. And I keep joking to like I even joked to you like a little bit before we are even recording. I keep being like, yo, it's gonna be a diss track record. It's just because, dude, I literally like when you're a creative and like not saying it's just one thing for being in New York is its own breed for sure, right? You have creatives of every extent. But if you're like a creative and you're an artist and you're in a band and you're a musician or a singer and you're like literally broke, like it's so hard to do like anything. So like asking for help and like the creatives and the people that you like meet that just believe in you and stuff, you're so thankful for and you're so pissed at everyone else. So I was like, dude, I'm just gonna fucking make a fucking diss record. It's just gonna, and they're like, don't do that though. And I'm like, you're right, but it's funny. No, but like honestly, like the next like series, like I'm obviously it's not gonna be a diss record, but I have the title of the next album, and it's just gonna be. I wrote a concept that I'm really happy with, where it's kind of taking the evolution of where we leave this character at the end of Morocco, and then like basically a lot of it is more optimistic. It's not I don't want to write a lot of like specifically lovey-dovey songs unless it's a lovey-dovey song. Like I'm just going to be leaning into genre a lot more. It's like a really fun and then like basically what I've been doing is I kind of like I've been very openly saying like I think it was really cool when artists do other things like um just for the one example it would be like Phoebe like did her first record and then fucked around, did the Better Oblivion Community Center record with Conor Oberst, then did Boy Genius, and then did her own solo. Like, I want to be able to soak up so much of like working with people. So I'm working on a record with my friend Kirsten Gerard, who I did part two with. We're doing the Infinite Weekend record that's next. So like all of these experiences of like keep grinding and doing music just like keeps me in the zone of like, oh, let's just keep creating. And it really helps with like writing the solo stuff.
Yeah,
Like that's the next
that
iteration. It's just more optimistic, but say like just kind of having more fun with genre, but also probably very. There's gonna be some sad shit.
there,
Like it's
there has to be.
inevitable. Like it's
Yeah.
inevitable when you have mental illness, man. It's tough. It's tough to not.
Uh, but that's awesome that you're kind of branching out and doing like these other projects or working with other people because
Absolutely.
it like I'm excited to see how that reflects when it comes to LB2, and how you've like working on one project might stimulate something in the brain to kind of tweak something that you normally do, and like that's the shit that like I really love because and I've said this multiple times, and I can't remember who said it first on the podcast. It definitely wasn't me, but every album is like a timestamp on where you are
Mm-hmm.
at that point in your life, and it's
100%.
it's it's always fun to see those moments just keep evolving.
No, absolutely. And it's weird. Like you look back at the time when I was going back to thinking about like where I want to like be and like where I was, like reflecting on that stuff. It was just like I was so fucking depressed and so pissed and just like so like I have to fucking put out this record or else I'm gonna explode. But now it's like people talk to me, they're like, you seem so calm. And I'm like, yeah, because I finally did the thing. So now it's like, oh, cool. And I can just keep making shit and it's not hard. And it's like, oh, we're rolling. Oh, like I wouldn't like, I'd be very happy to like actually write happy music because like it shows where I'm at. Cause I'm like just genuinely really happy right now.
Right. Well, that's good. We should all be happy.
We all should,
Like,
but also email music rules.
yeah, that's
And
true.
if you have mental
Uh,
illness, that's sick.
yeah. Well, I mean, like
You know, yeah, yeah,
not
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, no,
Well,
yeah, yeah,
you know
for
what
sure,
I
for sure.
mean. You
Take
know.
take your meds. Take your meds.
Yeah, yeah. Take your meds. But if you produce like a sick emo album,
It's
I'm not gonna
awesome. It's objectively
I'm
dope
not
for the world.
I'm not gonna be mad. Yeah.
I'm not gonna be
Uh,
pissed. Not gonna be pissed at all.
I know we kind of jumped around on this album, um, but I want to make sure like I didn't miss anything that you want the people to know about before we like start to move on.
No, I mean, like honestly, like yeah, you kind of nail if you hit all the points that you want to hit with the record, that totally works with me. I could talk about how every single like title is like a very specific thing, but again, I'm manic, so I get it. Like I don't think anyone needs to be like, well, so Feel My Heart, Jonas, I think it's broken is actually a line from my favorite movie, Jennifer's Body. Like I don't think people need to really need to know that stuff, but whatever you're feeling with, man, I'm rocking with you.
I mean, there is a cult following for Jennifer's Body, so
Facts.
I feel like you just getting that out there is
Yeah.
good for a lot of people because
No,
they're
it's
probably
definitely
looking at that
yeah.
and they're like, I feel like I know this line from somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Like I like that was like I'm just really influenced by like film and stuff. Like again, like a lot of musical theater stuff on like No One Deserves to Disappear. Like that's clearly Dear Evan Hansen, that's Newsies, that's all the shit
Which,
that I love.
which there was something I didn't add it to my list of questions, but there is something I wanted to bring up. I loved you including Newsies in there, and I think the
Thank you.
line is something like,
Not the musical,
not the
the
T,
movie.
yeah, the musical, not the movie, because like I remember I watched I found the Newsies when I was like maybe 10 to 12, and
Same age. Yeah, yeah.
I think we had like HBO free for that weekend, and it
That's
was just
sick.
on, and like that's when I found it. And then like we didn't have HBO, like it was one of those like
Right.
free like
Yeah, yeah,
try
yeah.
it for a weekend type deals, and I saw it, and then I never saw it again, and I was like, did I just witness a fever dream? Like I've never been able to find
Bro,
it.
that's Batman. That's Batman singing on a horse.
I know it's fucking crazy.
No, it's
uh
sick as hell, and no one seems to know this besides the 5 musical theater kids I went to college with.
it's
Bro, Newsies is a sick ass movie.
it is. And like after I uh like when I finally got like Disney Plus, I think that was like one of the first things I fucking looked up and watched as
So
a
sick.
30-year-old adult because
As a
it's amazing.
that's a rough one, but I would be lying to you saying that if I didn't watch that recently.
I
Literally,
feel
it's
like you need
sick.
yeah, you need to watch it every couple years, I feel like, because like
Do you know how?
after
No,
yeah,
go.
go ahead.
No,
Oh,
you
I
go.
was just gonna say like after listening to that song, I was like, I haven't watched Newsies in a while. I should probably watch that again.
I'm just marketing Kenny Ortega. That's really all it is. I'm just his fucking brand ambassador. But no, like, dude, like literally, it's so funny where like I literally was in musical theater college and I was like, yo, the movie Newsies is like, they're like, yeah, the musical, right? I'm like, no, 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 no. I don't that one doesn't have Christian Bale. So tell me where I'm wrong on this one. Like it was one of those. Like
Yeah.
I love that shit so much, dude. And like just like the how niche, like there's some shit in like emo music and like pop punk music and especially Midwest emo. There's some deep cuts. Like they're like there'll be names of songs that are like the Galaga machine ate my homework or something like ridiculous. Like they're on that shit. But like even having a lyric on your album being like I'm not Jack Kelly if you wanted me to be, like that hits 3 people.
Yeah.
Like that's niche. But I'm like, you know what? If that's the niche, that's where I want to be. You know what I mean? Continue with
It was
whatever
a
you were gonna ask with because
no,
I'm
yeah.
literally down with whatever. I'm
It,
rolling.
it was more that I just wanted to bring that up
Facts, dude.
as to like that whole thing. Like that was another lyric that I felt like was out of right field, but in the best way of just
Sick.
like it. Like when I said I related to most of the lyrics on this, and then you said that, I was like, this guy gets me.
This
You
guy
know.
gets it. Dude, that's the dream. No, honest to God, like when I talk to people or like anything, like if people are like, yo, that I'm like, this we're the same. We are the same people. Like there has to be at least one person who likes Newsies and Jennifer's Body. That's not me. Like there
Right.
has to be, and it's you, which is sick. Like
It's
fire, dude.
it's a good thing we found each other. I
Oh,
am
I'm
your
so thankful.
demographic
I'm so
for
no,
this.
thank God. Thank God.
Uh, but yeah, so basically, if anyone's gathered anything, go listen to "Watching Your Friends Get Famous." We're gonna start to transition here. If there's anything that anyone wanted to know about, I guess you're just gonna have to DM this fine gentleman and see if
DM
there's something
away.
there, or we'll do a part two. We'll
Oh,
see what
any
happens in the
I
future.
will happily come back any day. I will
Oh
come
yeah,
back for I will bring the whole Infinite Weekend with me. I will show them up on the podcast and I will come back for LP2 because like, thank you again for having me. I appreciate
dude.
it.
Hell yeah. Well, we're not. I'm not done with
Hell
you yet.
no.
We still
Hell
got
no.
some fun stuff to get to. Um, you know, like I normally say, this is beers with bands. You don't have to be drinking on these episodes because I'll definitely do that for you.
Damn
But what do you
right.
drink? I know you're drinking something on this fine Friday. What are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking a Coors Light,
Hell yeah.
and my girlfriend doing embroidery in the corner is drinking a Victory Sour Monkey
Ooh, okay.
sour triple 9.5. Way more taste than I
Jesus.
have. Way more taste than I have. I'm more of a light beer guy.
I'm also a light beer guy, as
What are we
everyone
drinking?
will understand. So I'm drinking hams tonight.
Hams.
Good old
Fire, dude.
hams. Yeah.
Sick, dude. Cheers.
Yeah, most of these episodes are done with PBR, hams, or whatever else is in my fridge. So
PBR is a good take. I was gonna pick up
yeah,
PBR honestly because I heard on a couple of the other episodes that PBR was the drink of choice for beers with bands. No sponsorship yet, right?
no,
We're
nothing
working
yet.
on it. We're working
I
on
need
it.
to. I need to. You're right. I should probably send a couple more emails because they
Let,
haven't
let, let's get
responded.
some brands. Let's get some brand ambassadors
Dude,
out here.
dude, I've been hoping.
What's your dream sponsor for
I
beers?
mean, it'd be
PBR.
sick to get. It'd be sick to get PBR. One thing I think I really need to do, and a lot of people could probably agree, is like at least start reaching out to maybe like the local breweries. There's a lot here in the Twin Cities.
So
Um,
much. There's so much beer by you.
yeah, but that PBR one would honestly be
Be
probably
sick.
top notch.
Heineken, fuck that shit. Pabst Blue Ribbon. This guy gets it. This guy
Yeah,
knows. I know you know. I know you know that reference.
but I'll send a few more emails. They never responded to the first three, so we'll see what happens.
All good, man. Didn't
Yeah,
respond to the first. That's tough. Dude, we got this. We're going mainstream this year.
that's the goal. We're gonna
Dude,
hit episode 200 this year.
we're
Go
hitting
mainstream.
200 this dude. Hey, cheers.
Thank
Congratulations.
you.
That's amazing, bro.
Oh, yeah.
You're on your way. Like this is again, I love the podcast and thank you so much for having me on. It's so sick.
Dude, of course.
This
Like
is the
we
first
kind of
time I've
mentioned,
drank in during an interview. I feel like I'm getting fucked up. Continue.
dude, this is my life.
This is the space.
The worst is when I don't eat before these because then I'm just like obliterated by like 20 minutes in.
Dude, you have
Uh,
I will say you have a one up on hot ones. You have a hot one on because this is like way more enjoyable. Like I love spicy food, but I like every single person this week has I've been like, yeah, dude, they're doing this podcast interview where I drink beer and talk about music, and they're like, that's what you do on like a daily. I'm like, facts, correct. This is my favorite podcast.
yeah. So I mean, to kind of bounce off of that, like, I think this is episode like 180 something. To kind of reiterate as to just the whole idea for this podcast is me and my friends would always tour together, and then we would always tell each other the same tour stories when we were together. So it's
Right.
like, dude, I was in the van sitting next to you when this shit happened. We need to talk to someone else. So we were like, okay, well, like we'll talk to our friends, but like we're drinking anyway, so like we might as well just include beers. And then we wanted to feel like, that those moments when you get done with a show and your friends also played the same show and you're just like kind of at the bar, just kind of bullshitting and
It's
talking
the
about stuff.
best. It's the best time.
It's the best time, and like,
There is nothing better than that moment. Exactly.
yeah, and like that's what I've always wanted to translate to this format. Because really, yeah, every question I asked you is the same thing I would ask to one of my close friends in our local scene. Because we would just be sitting there talking about stuff and drinking beers, and I'd be like asking them very in depth questions or like just stupid questions about the stuff that they're releasing. And this is exactly what I would be doing,
Well, dude, no,
except we'd be doing in person.
but the thing is like you're extremely social. You're an extremely sociable person, and I always get told when I'm out to like parties or anything. I always get told that I bring a podcast energy, simply because I'm inquisitive about other people's lives.
Mm,
That's really all it is. But like you have such a great warming presence where you're like, yo, I want to actually hear about this shit. And like I feel like that you've gotten that before.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Funny enough, if I was out at a party right now, granted this many beers in, I'd be pretty loose. But when I get there, I'm for sure sitting in the corner, not talking to anybody because
Damn.
I'm I'm going to a show, 2 shows this weekend, and like I'm already like my anxiety is already on like a level because there's gonna be too many people there, and my like I get so introverted that I'm just like I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do. So
I
it's
feel
very
you.
funny every time when someone's like, you present yourself very well on this, because I'm just like in my head I'm like, if you only knew.
If you only knew. Oh
um
my god, dude. No, I totally get that though.
yeah.
It's such a specific thing.
um but I know we kind of talked about this before we started recording. And for people that might not know, you also do or did a podcast as well called A New
Yeah,
Sound with Morgan Brown.
still do.
um
So
so you're still
I'm doing the revamp.
okay. Hell yeah.
You know when
Like,
what did you say earlier about you can't wear the same
can't wear the same clothes more than
exactly.
once.
No, exactly. It's the same. So yeah, we're dude, I literally was trying to do the podcast because again, in the same vein as you, it's like it's one of those things that I just love talking to people about music, and I love hearing about their experiences. I love hearing about what music they like, what inspires them, and stuff like that. So I just do a new sound with Morgan Brown with just like people in this exact setup, like no beers included, but it's like just genuinely just like it's a cool way to just keep in touch with people too, like cool way to like meet people, cool way to reach out to people. It's like a really great fun thing to do, and I just like shooting the shit with musicians. But
Right.
the fact that you had such a great like origin with this is like just makes me feel so organic about the whole thing. Like it's really great, man.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate that so much. Like this is it's been a grind and a passion for the last I hit 5 years also this year. So
Dude, congrats for 5 years.
yeah,
Years of
thank you.
bands, baby.
It's a good time. I think with this episode coming out, it's late enough. I should have already announced it. I'm also doing to celebrate the 5 years. I'm also booking my first show. I'm coming out of my booking hiatus, so I'm booking the first Beers with Bands presents show.
Can we get
Um,
some air horns in the edit?
yeah, I'll try and get those in there. But yeah, I'm very stoked on. It's gonna be a good year. It's gonna be a good
Sounds
year.
so
All right, so
5 years. Congrats.
yeah,
Beers with
thank
bands,
you.
bro. Seriously, I did my podcast off and on. Cheers to fucking you, bro. I don't think you understand how like in the same vein of you saying specifically that like you understand like the fucking how long it actually takes to make a song of that count of like production wise, how much time it goes into fucking music video making, social media content. Like you don't like people do not understand how much time it takes to do this podcast, how much time it takes for you to reach out to people, how many shows you have to go to. Like, dude, like seriously, like the 5 years is crazy for this. So seriously, congrats.
Dude, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been a whirlwind.
And if you need anything that's like any tie-ins, it's like back with beers and bands. Like any of that stuff, or like, hey, this is Morgan Cole Brown and you're listening to Beers with Bands. Like, I got you.
So funny enough, I've thought about having bands record something like that
That's
for a
kind of funny as
while.
shit.
Just like the whole like Disney Channel, like
Like, so, oh my God, that'd be so, oh, with a B, like a
dude.
BWB with a, like a, here, I'll use my, we can edit, whatever. We'll use my weed pen, but it's like, you know what I mean? It's probably flip, but it's still B without BWB.
It'd be sick.
Be fucking sick. Oh my God.
I don't know. Maybe one day I'll
Dude,
muster up that.
I am 4 beers in, and I have not eaten today, so this is dark. We're hitting
That's okay. We're getting
killing it.
towards the end, but by this point we both need to be loose anyways because this is where
I'm
we're
in.
about to tell some fun stories. So I'm gonna lead us into this, and then we're almost to the finish line. We'll see.
Hit me with it.
All right.
Let's rock.
So like we talked some album. We talked some beers. We did the little beer segment for this. We talked to the Beers with Band show, which should be posted on the Instagram and Twitter for
Let's
everyone
get
that's
it.
listening.
What's up?
If you're in Iowa, make sure to go to that. But this is like I said. Now we're loose.
We're
We're
loose.
we're both we're both a few beers in.
We're in.
4 if we're counting.
Exactly.
But this is kind of where we talk
Sorry,
about some
can I
fun
ad
stories.
lib?
Yes,
Okay, tight.
like
Go, 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 go. We're good. Toy. We're in.
but this is where we're kind of like at the one of my favorite parts of this whole episode, these episodes,
Mhm.
not just this episode. This episode has been fun throughout.
You're,
This is where we kind of talk
we're
about
crushing.
some fun stories. Yeah, we're having a good time. we're both feeling it. I also haven't had supper either, so I
Hell
feel
yeah.
that.
We out here.
But this is where we kind of talk about some fun stories from your time in music, whether shows, tours, time recording.
God.
Obviously, you have these music videos that you've been filming. I'm sure there's some funny shenanigans that have happened there. As I normally say, they could be anything horrendous to tremendous or any adjective in between. The way I like to think about it is think about the stories you always reminisce about with your friends.
For sure.
Those are usually the stories that everyone loves to hear.
Absolutely. So, okay, well, I do have to ask one thing because it's interesting. I have been playing in bands and playing guitar since I was like 7. I've been doing this shit. I've been like all I've been doing is music. But it's so fascinating because I think all of like my craziest like quote unquote like stories with music was also from like career stuff, like because I do music industry things, like, and I was like and like that. So it's like it's crazy to like from touring, right? From like one of the easily the craziest thing that ever happened to me on tour was it was the first tour that the Amy Incident ever did. That was like, you know, like, oh my God. Like I was like, it was right when the record came out. So it was 2017 and it was that summer. And I found out I was really good friends with this band named Half Astronaut. Shout out Half Astronaut. They're the fucking homies, but also shout out Foley, which is one of Danny's new bands. We're playing with them. They're sick as hell. Dope as fuck. Danny Barbati, king. Nick Biagini, king. Sorry. Kevin McManus, dope. We were all in. Basically, I took them on tour as an opener because Nick was the guitar player of Half Astronaut, played guitar on the Amy Incident record. So we took them on tour for like 2.5 weeks. We did Maine to Chicago, and that was like the longest we ever did a tour. It was like I would think I was a sophomore in college, and it was like that was like we've done like the East Coast, like just like Maine to DC, Virginia, like that's where like we played the most, like on like regular tours, but we never like went to like the Midwest or anything. And then during that time, my mom gave us the car, her car, her RAV4, her 2006 RAV4 to a tour in because we could fit all the shit in because we were just a trio. We were like a trio. And then the my friend Nick, who was playing in us, toured with Half Astronaut in like their bigger car. So we went, and then we like my bass player, like it was having this whole oil thing, and then my bass player like kept driving, and then we were all asleep, and then the car just stopped, And we were like, dude, what happened? He's like, the oil light came on. And we're like, and you didn't stop. He's like, I was gonna pull over. However, so we completely totaled that car, like
Oh my
engine locked up
god.
and everything. And then we had to stay an extra 5 nights in Indiana in a hotel. We missed our Chicago show. Half Astronaut still played. However, all their gear was in our car. So they literally couldn't even play. So we had to like stay in Angola, Indiana for like 5 days in like the hotel in like this like insane place. And like the people of Angola, Indiana are probably the nicest humans alive. But for like a mentally ill 19-year-old from Boston, like it wasn't great. It was not a great time had by any. And it was just like, it was just such a fucking crazy time being like stranded out there. And then just like that feeling of it, of like, we have no idea like what is going on. And then we got I called my dad because I was like, I don't know what else to do. And he first called completely cursing me out. Absolutely. And then the second time call, he was like, yo, go to a U-Haul and like just rent a car and like get the fuck back. Like finish the tour. We're like, we're all 19. None of us are 25. We can't rent
Right.
cars. He goes, it's Angola, Indiana. I'm sure it'll be fine. And we go to the U-Haul place, cash only. And we're like, weird, weird, not a thing. They're like, yo, you need a U-Haul? And we're like, yeah, can we get a 10 foot? Like perfect for, and they're like, we only have the 25. And we're like, too big for us, I guess. So we tape down all of our shit. Like we tape it down to the floors. So it's not all flinging all over the place.
So when you say 20 foot, you mean you got like a fucking
25
box
foot,
truck?
a 25-foot box truck
Oh my god.
for like a drum set and like two guitars. It was fucking mental, bro. And the guy like didn't like, he was like, yo, you have your ID? And we like showed our ID, like our license. He was like, good. And we're like, are you, I'll be honest, we're not police, but like we should be. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's good? So they let us straight up like completely just take like the U-Haul, and we're like, it's a one-way rental. We drive 19 hours straight, not fucking blinking. Like from Angola, Indiana to New Jersey. To then go to my dad's house. None of them are there. My dad, my stepmom, my two siblings, none of them are there. They're like, we're on vacation and you're ruining this for us. And I'm like, sick. Um, so we're like staying there. And so we take his pickup truck, finish the rest of the tour, which is 5 more dates, all down the East Coast. And then like that's basically the entire Sand music videos, like that whole trip. So it's like you see all of that crazy shit. So like when we're talking about like band experiences and you're talking about like going back and like reminiscing, and I have all of this shit on footage, and it's just like so funny when you see the car getting towed. I'm like, fuck. Like that's like probably the craziest like tour experiences like that I had like in that way, which was just like a grow up quick kind of deal on the road.
Yeah. Oh man. So I tell this story every once in a while, but I actually wasn't there for it when it happened. But the band that I ran with, their first tour, like we were probably a year out of high school at this point. They're doing an East Coast run from the Midwest, heading that way. And I think they played Chicago. They were somewhere in Indiana because they were gonna stay at the guitar player's like cousin's house, and they were driving around in like a soccer mom minivan, like small as
Fire.
hell, pulling a
Sick as
trailer.
hell.
They went over a set of railroad tracks, and when they did that, just the force of everything bouncing ripped the hitch off of the minivan. Uh,
No fucking way.
so they're on the side of the road with the minivan and the trailer not attached to each other anymore. So they have to call his cousin, who comes, picks up the van, well, picks up the trailer, and like everybody except for one other person in the van. So they all go to his cousin's house
Mm-hmm.
while the guitar player, and I think it was their merch guy at the time, haul basically haul ass back to Iowa, pick up his dad's pickup truck, and then they go back out to Indiana with the minivan and the pickup truck, and then they basically did two vehicles for the rest of the tour.
That's exactly the
So
shit we tried doing.
yeah,
No, dude, it's fucking mayhem. That's
it's insane.
fucking crazy. Like, it was one thing for the engine to lock up on us, but the fucking that they like broke the hitch, like
Yeah.
that's fucked. Like, oh my god. Dude, no. Okay, so a story that I was there for, but like dude, I fucking talk about this all the time. Crazy as shit. Like one of the weirdest experiences I've ever had in music was I was playing this show. There used to be there's this kid still, very, very accomplished producer and a really good guy, Owen Korzik, who I've like known my whole life. He's a very talented engineer and producer in the Boston area. We were playing, he used to have this barn that was like just next to his house, and it was like a third floor, and he used to like just fucking have crazy shows, like 300 cap, everything was packed all the time, fucking nuts. Like it was a really good time. I played there a lot with my first band, Jumpstart, which is a great band also, but also then I also played there with Amy Incident, and I was playing there with the Amy Incident, and it was one of our, I think it was our album release show, so it was fucking packed. Like the entire barn was crazy, and my boy Jake Bell, not Drake Bell, Jake Bell of the band Barroom Heroes, who've like toured with like Dropkick Murphys and like shit, like they're like fucking, they were a huge band during that era. And he like comes up to me, he's got the thickest Boston accent fucking possible, bro. He's like, "Hey brother, what's up, dude?" And he's just like, and he's like, "Dude, you gotta see my fucking car, dude." And I'm like, "Dude, what are you talking about?" Like, he's like, "Dude, I sold my fucking car. You gotta come check out what I fucking bought, kid." And then I'm just like, "All right." So we go out back, and dude's got a fucking ambulance. Dude's motherfucker sold his car, bought an ambulance, and then for touring, like for being like in a band and shit. And I'm like, "Bro, you're fucking with me." And he's like, "Nah, dude, this is my new fucking cock it. Isn't it fucking sick? We're gonna fucking tour and this shit. It's gonna be fucking dope, bro." And I'm like, "You're fucking with me. This is so funny." And I'm not kidding you when I say, like the phrase is like very classic punk. It's like, "This machine kills fascists."
Yeah.
Right. It's like painted on guitars and shit. Bro, he has that fucking spray painted on the back, and he has fascist spelt wrong. I'm like, are you fucking with me saying, I'm like, "Jake, it says this machine kills fascists." Are you fucking like, dude, like fucking problem A is that. And he goes, "Oh, fuck, dude." And I'm like, "Yeah, has no one else mentioned this?" Oh, dude, I was fucking losing my shit. So like he toured in that forever, but then he like took, like he then came inside like after like we're playing the show, like we were finished playing the show, and I was like, "Do you?" And he just goes, "Do you guys want to go to McDonald's?" And we're like, "Yeah, we all do." So like 30 kids pile into this fucking ambulance, and he tries to use the fucking drive-through. Meanwhile, all the lights work. This dude's going through red lights. Like we're just busting through them. And he's like, "Nah, dude, it's sick, right?" I'm like, "I don't think anyone in here thinks this is sick. I think you need to fucking chill, dude. Like this is fucking crazy." So he like slows down and like stops, disobeying the law. And I've said his name. We will fucking work that out. Don't arrest my boy. Point is, I see this kid 3 weeks later walking. Someone who owns a vehicle doesn't typically do.
Yeah.
So I'm with my boy, like my boy Matt, and we're just driving up, and I just go, I'm like, "Dude, that's fucking Jake Bell. Dude, you gotta pull over. Like, that's fucking Jake Bell." And we pull over. I'm like, "Jake, where's your fucking car? And he goes, did you know it's illegal to have an ambulance with working sirens like in the state of Massachusetts? I'm like, we all know. We all knew. Did you not know? And I'm like, dude, where did you buy the car? He's like, oh, you can get anything in Rhode Island. And that's still what I say to this day. You can get
That's such a good
anything in Rhode
line.
Island.
That's a great fucking line.
Dude, so like that was the craziest thing that happened to me, like music adjacent, like after a show and on tour. Like those were the two craziest things. But like also like when I was saying like with the those are like that's like my music side. Like that's like me as an artist side. Like
Right.
me as like working in the industry and stuff. It's like weird to have those experiences, but then also like be in the same room as like Jay-Z by yourself. Like it's shit like that. It's like yeah. That's the shit I can't really go into, but like that's like I used to work for Rock Nation and stuff like that.
I know you can't go into it, but the
Yeah.
only thing that I have to ask about, being in the same room by yourself with Jay Z
Yeah.
is how much did you have to fight the urge to just say Hova?
All the time.
Okay, all right,
All the
I'm not
time.
alone.
Yeah, you know, you're not alone in the slightest. But yeah, like having like those two experiences like is a weird thing where you like see like the height of like, oh, this is like crazy being a musician and an artist. But then also you get fucking stuck in Angola, Indiana, and it's different. You know what I mean? It's like it's tough. So
It builds
yeah, it's
character,
a, no exactly, and you like see every aspect of like, oh, holy shit, like you can be the lowest low person you'll ever be, but then also you can hit a height of like whatever you want, and then it all still like means the same thing because everyone's had that like shared experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
Like
Uh,
at one point, any of those artists were in the same fucking boat, stuck on tour. Like everyone, like it's a crazy, weird, cyclical thing.
I mean, like they say, everyone's favorite band at one point was a DIY band
100%.
struggling to get through. So
Exactly.
you know, um, I just love. I think that whole like ambulance story with the addition of the Boston accent, because who doesn't love a Boston accent? Was probably
I
like one
am
of the
so
funniest
bad
ones
at
I've heard in a while.
doing voices. I'm so bad at doing accents, but I think I
Dude,
kind of crushed that.
yeah, you
Kind
crush
of
that.
nailed it. And honestly, I'm gonna send this interview to Jake Bell, and he's gonna be like, I don't sound like that, brother. It's gonna be very funny.
Yeah, dude, it was great. Uh, I do. I know. Obviously, like we said, Jake Bell is gonna to listen to this. With you listening to this, Jake Bell, I just want to say having an ambulance as a tour vehicle is smart as hell because like the
No,
dudes
it's
in
a genius move.
it's a genius
It's a
move.
legendary move.
The dudes in the Casper fight scene from Michigan have been on the podcast, and one of their homies lives out of an old ambulance that he's converted into like a
It's
tiny
fucking dope
roving
as
home,
shit. I'm sure.
and he's gracious enough to he basically is like their tour vehicle when they go out of town. Like he goes with
Sick.
them, and it's so genius. I remember like it was probably like 2013. Um, it was like Real Friends mixtapes. Forever Came Calling, and someone else was on the bill, and I can't remember. But Forever Came Calling showed up to the show in like a short bus as their tour
Huh?
vehicle,
No, that's sick
and
as
like,
hell.
yeah,
That's
at that
dope.
point, I was like, oh, you don't have to just tour in like a 15-seater van. You can do
You can
something
get
else that'll
creative.
fit everything. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you can get creative for sure. We I will let the audience know that um people do not think it's possible yet. Um we currently are touring in my 1998 Pontiac Grand Am. So, letting everyone know that if you see a shiny red car pull up, it's your boy, you know?
That's impressive. I will give you props
It's a
for that.
small car. It's a small
Yeah.
car. It's we have to use we have to like see if venues have had like cabs.
Mm.
So we're just like touring with like like breakable drums, like guitar, two guitars, bass, and then two heads. Like that's all we're touring. That's all we can do because we have like the smallest car on the fucking planet.
I mean, but at the same time, if
It
it
worked
works, it
though.
works. Yeah.
Exactly. If it works, it works.
Shit.
So I'm sure that like in the next iteration when I definitely come back for LP2 and when I come back for Infinite Weekend, we will definitely tell you more tour stories in said Pontiac.
I can't wait.
It's gonna be fire, bro.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely excited to hear more cramped car stories because those
Mm-hmm.
like I mean to tour in that Pontiac is in my mind is crazy. Obviously, you mentioned like you try and like you just take heads if you need to, like try and like backline use other
Mm-hmm.
people's gear. It makes sense, but at the same time, I'm thinking back to like the Pontiac that my mom had growing up that was also like a '90s one, and she had a two-door one, and that's all I could
Oh my
picture.
god. No,
And
it's
I can't
literally
imagine how.
it's not that much bigger.
Yeah,
It's not. But yeah, no, that's the exact same car. Yeah, literally. It's small, dude.
uh, but everyone be sure to go see Morgan Cole Brown on all future dates, which we'll talk about some stuff here in just a second. But we've had a great conversation talking about the album, talking about just like you in general. This has been a great way to spend a Friday night.
The best.
Um, but I know we kind of talked some like kind of crazy fun stories, but I always like to leave off these episodes on a high note.
Mm-hmm.
So my question to you to end off this episode is, what has been your favorite moment that you've experienced so far since doing this solo project, not
Mm,
side project, solo project,
yeah.
and taking on this endeavor?
Honestly, like the best thing that I can think of is reception. Like I've been holding on to these songs for so long and they've meant so much for me in every way. Like the fact that people are even resonating with anything that I've said, anything that I've written, musically or not, like just means literally the world to me. So just the ability to even put out music and be able to create so much with the people that I love is absolutely the most important thing to me. And that's the thing. Like I've been like again since like I've been able to put out music, I've been on a fucking high, just like feeling good, happy, and just like on the top of the world. So I would say this feeling of having the songs come out, people like you connecting and then reaching out and then like wanting to talk and like even more is crazy. Like I didn't think, and this is not like I'm not a numbers person to any extent, like, and I don't even think this is insane number. Like I'm not even like nothing even went, insane. But it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, I thought 1,000 people could maybe listen to this once, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. I broke like 5,000 in a fucking week. Like that's cool. Like, and I'm like, okay, cool. So all of my expectations are completely broken out. I have no other care in the world. I'm like, holy shit, even one person connected with this shit, so I'm happy. So, like, that's where I'm really at. Like, that's the
Dude,
happiest thing I can think of.
dude, hell yeah. I'm like obviously, through our conversation, you know that I've connected to this. I can't wait to for more people to once this album finally drops to come out of the woodwork and hopefully reach out to you and be like, yo, this meant a lot to me because I'm sure that I'm one of many is all I gotta
Oh,
say.
dude, it means the world to me. Seriously, I have no idea.
I'm so stoked on this album. I'm stoked to see where you take your solo career with Morgan Cole Brown and what LP2 looks like and
For sure.
LP3 or where you take
Keep
it all.
going.
Like I'm so stoked on this. If anyone's looking for merch, music, or you in general, where can they find it?
Most I didn't have any social media or anything till I was like a sophomore in college. I only had phone calls and texting. I'm terrible with like, but I'm getting better. Like the website is coming. It's definitely happening. But honestly, right now through Instagram or Facebook would be the best. And yeah, listen on Spotify if you can, because that would mean a lot to me. And if you need to reach out, most active on Instagram and Facebook. So just I'm literally around whenever.
Well, depending where you found this episode, whether it was, Facebook, Instagram, X, or Twitter, Threads, or you watch the YouTube version and got to see Morgan's lovely face like I did tonight, make sure you check those hyperlinks down below. Follow Morgan on all the socials. Stay up to date. Be ready for new music, new tour dates, new
It's all happening.
anything. Just be ready for for the future for Morgan Cole Brown, because I know it's going to be epic. You know, it's I appreciate you kind of jumping the gun on me and reaching out to me to set this up, because you were definitely on my list. I'm happy that we got to do this episode. This album is amazing, and I can't stress that enough. And I want everyone to be sure to go out and listen to this album right away.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you for having me. You're the best.
Dude, of course.
Shout out Beers and Bands.
I appreciate that. Also, before we take off, I know, like we kind of mentioned, the revamp of your podcast is happening. If anyone's looking for that, where can they find that as well?
Also streaming on every media platform. We've got some really great guests on there. Some really some OG emo people, some new people, some pop people. It's all over the place. But yeah, Spotify and whenever you listen to podcasts is streaming now is a new sound with Morgan Brown.
Hell yeah. And like I said, I'll add those to the description below. One last big thank you to Morgan for stopping by the podcast tonight. And I'll catch everyone on the next episode.
Thank you, man.
Hell yeah. See ya.
See ya.